Tim Dunn and Ferris Wilks, and how they have used their money to basically, if not control, certainly influence the politics of Texas pretty dramatically. I mean, even politicians that they're not directly funding, they are funding their primary opponents and essentially forcing those politicians, like Greg Abbott, forcing them to then move their positions harder and harder to the right. And at least one of these two guys, and my recollection from the TV show was that both of them, but I just have to say I recall one in particular, who shows up at his local church and preaches a lot, are Christian nationalists. Arguing that America was founded as a Christian nation. It wasn't. It was founded as a secular democracy, in fact, the first in the history of the world, and the founders were very proud of that fact. This has become a tough one. Kel Selinger, who is a Texas state senator and a Republican, he served Amarillo for 18 years. Referring to these guys, he said, it is a Russian-style oligarchy, pure and simple, really, really wealthy people who are willing to spend a lot of money to get policy made they want, and they get it. Mediaite did a story on this that you can find at Mediaite.com. They said they spoke to Quorum Report's Braddock. He said, quote, there's no Ken Paxton without Tim Dunn, period. Dunn collateralized a $1 million loan for Paxton, and that's how he beat Dan Branch in the primary. Ken Paxton, of course, the extreme right-wing AG of Texas. In another article over at Daily Kos by Laura Clausen on Daily Kos staff, she writes, a Republican activist said of Wilkes, the goal is to tear down public education to nothing and rebuild it the way God intended education to be. And she goes on to note, a state senator primaried out of office by Dunn and Wilkes-backed candidates said the billionaires, quote, want to destroy the public school system as we know it, and in its place see more homeschooling and more private Christian schools, end quote. She's also reporting at the Daily Kos, quote, the black high school principal who was fired for opposing systemic racism was first targeted by a former school board candidate who had gotten his largest campaign contributions from Dunn and some of his organizations. The author of the bill blocking trans students from playing sports, that was State Representative Valerie Swanson, who successfully primaried a 14-year incumbent, in large part powered by money from a political action committee founded by Dunn and funded by Wilkes. And then she adds, even where candidates backed by Dunn and Wilkes lose, the billionaires also often effectively win, with the incumbents they're primarying moving to the right to survive. She says that's exactly what happened in the gubernatorial race with Greg Abbott. This is poison in the bloodstream of American democracy. We have to make project number one getting money out of our politics. And Congress can do this by taking on the Supreme Court, Article 3, Section 2. They need to do this.